Hi, and welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm Martin Bailey, and joining me today is Clive Ripley, co-founder of BoardSport Source. Welcome, Clive, and thank you for taking the time out to join me today. How are you?
We're all pretty good, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you. All great.
Absolutely our pleasure, and I'm really excited and looking forward to hearing hearing what you've got to tell us throughout the podcast. So, look, why don't we just start this off by you telling us a bit about who you are and what you do, Clive?
Okay, so the easiest place to start was mid-90s, and I got involved in snowboarding publishing with a group of people, and that was called Onboard Magazine, and we founded it above a fruit and veg shop on the Edgware Road, which is not a lot of snow around there, but anyway, that's where we started. And then after about a year, we realized we needed to go to where the action was happening. So we moved lock, stock, and barrel over to Austria. And we were based in a town called Fieberbrunn for about a year and a half. And then we moved to Meerhofen, and we were there, I think, for another 2.5 years. Yeah. And we were a pan-European snowboard magazine. So basically, we were publishing in English, French, and German. The secret to it was because my background was actually printing. I realized that we could do 3 language versions of the magazine for the price of if you want 2 separate magazines. So we kept everything the same in the magazine, the pictures the same, except for the text. So the text changed, and that was the secret to it. So all the layouts and everything, they were all exactly the same in all different languages.
Yeah.
Clever. So that basically very quickly became the dominant snowboarding magazine at the time. One of the reasons for that is because we were pan-European and snowboarding was a new sport. All the budgets were very much organized at a Central European level. So we could come in at a higher level than if you want, the national magazines to go and get the budget. So that worked really well. But when you get outside into the older sports, like let's say skiing, all the budgets and everything are very much at a local national level.
So I take it that you have got BoardSport, and you are an absolute advanced snowboarder.
I don't think so anymore. I'm not entirely sure I was, but
an elite snowboarder.
I enjoy snowboarding. I enjoy surfing, which I'm rubbish at, but that's why I like it. The worse I am at things, the more I like them, kind of things, because it's more of a challenge.
More of a challenge.
But yeah, so that was kind of the first thing I did, and then I sold that in 1999 and went to the beach, and then I got a phone call about somebody trying to launch a pan-European business-to-business board sports platform, and they hadn't been able to get it to work, so they needed some outside help. So I came in with a partner, and we bought basically a majority of the shares, and then we got the whole thing to work, and then we bought out the original players about 8-9 years ago.
Okay, fantastic.
And that today is Europe's kind of only board sports business platform.
Fantastic! Wow. Okay, that's impressive. So look, when you wind the clock back, just wind it all back. So if you had to start business again from square one, what would you do differently?
I'd probably use my head a bit more than my heart.
What do you mean by that? So elaborate on that. What do you mean by use your head more than your heart?
Well, I think there was a lot of decisions driven by the heart rather than the head. So, I think it was a really kind of high risk situation, really, coming in like we did. I mean, at the same time, the timing was very good because all the venture capital companies were pouring money into snowboarding because they were expecting it to become as big as skiing. But we did operate with quite a big loss to start with. It took us about 3 years to turn into profit, and I had quite a lot of sleepless nights, shall we say. So yeah, I think that's the kind of thing that you want a balance between something that you really want to do and something that makes sense.
Yes,
which isn't always that easy to achieve because your passions run probably higher than your head.
Yeah, the emotions are driving your decisions. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're running a business with big losses up during a period of time. must take some really strong financial management. Yeah. So what advice would you give to new business owners regarding financial management?
I think one of the key things is to get people in from outside involved, people who are not working in the business, because everybody who's working in the business has, you know, has their own interests to a certain extent as to where they want the business to go. Or let's say you all together want the business to go in this direction, even if it might not be the most sensible thing. So I think having third parties who are completely outside of the business, looking at it from a much more impartial view, is absolutely key.
Okay.
You
Why
know,
is that key? What benefit does that bring?
I think at the end of the day that you'll make a more rational point of view. It'll calm the passions down, and they'll tell you what it looks like from the outside. Otherwise, instead of having this quite blinkered view from the inside.
Yeah.
And
To carry on.
no, sorry, you were saying?
So that external party brings an element of objectivity to the table that as you said, I suppose, quietens
Yeah,
down.
well, they give a you know, a different kind of objectivity,
Yeah.
and you know, I think all the way through, these kind of people can also help you develop, because they can be people who are further on in their business life, if you want, like you,
Yeah.
and the skills they've got and the experience they've got also helps.
I mean, the other thing about emotions, I mean, you're right. I mean, people start their business really passionate about it, really emotionally
Yeah.
connected to it, is using facts and figures and numbers to either quantify or justify the emotion you're feeling can help you make the objective decision rather than the emotional decision. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the rest of my team, I was the oldest, so I was about 33. But on average, I would say everybody else was 21, 22.
Okay.
And, you know, there was about 25 to 30 of us working on it.
Great.
And we were actually surrounded by most of the major famous snowboarders of the time who used to hang out in the office, etc., etc. So it was quite difficult to you know, control this animal, which grew very, very fast.
Okay.
Um,
I can see.
and you know, but as I said, a lot of sleepless nights trying to
Yeah. I
figure it
mean,
out, trying to work it out.
well, I mean, we're growing fast. You know, I'd imagine it brings a certain amount of demand. So as time management, or been a challenge or a problem for you over the course of your journey.
Time management has always been a problem for me. I swore I'd never be a workaholic like my father, but that's kind of where I am. So
Okay.
occasionally I go, okay, I won't do anything on the weekends. That kind of works very occasionally. Or I won't do something during the evening. But doing what I do now, the client base is based in America, Europe, Far East. So I can actually ring anybody. Sorry, not anybody. I can ring somebody around the world any time of the 24-hour clock, and I'll have a client who's awake and ready to talk.
But do you need to
You
ring
know,
them at any time around the clock? Is it, is it
well, there's a bit, you know, like Australia and New Zealand are pretty difficult. I mean, New Zealand, I'll be speaking to someone, they'll go, oh, I'm going to go home, speak to you in 8 hours, and I'll work through the day, and they'll ring them in 8 hours time, and they just, you know, come back in for breakfast.
so what sort of things have you done to try and improve your time management then?
I think I'll have to admit to the fact that I've just kind of failed. I saw your question. I was thinking about it. What have I actually done?
Is there anything?
Made myself, you know, little bits of making myself more organized, little bits of getting people to help me, etc., etc.
Okay.
But actually, I would say, all in all, I haven't really done the things maybe that I should have done in order to manage my time better.
Is it something you'd like to be able
That's
to?
that's an honest answer.
I know that's fine, and honesty is important, but is it something you still like to try and get a handle on?
Um, yes, but you know, the point is, it's also now I'm a much smaller business, so there's much less people involved. So there is an awful lot of things for me to do.
Right. Okay. So you don't.
Um,
Okay.
so you know, if it was a larger organization, then you know you could take part of what I do and slice a bit off here, slice a bit off there.
Mm.
But because everything's quite integrated, it you know, just telling people what to do and how to do it, etc., takes quite a bit of time.
Understand. So
Yeah.
look, if you were to wind the clock back to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself?
I think at that age, it would probably be try and pass your exams. That'd probably be quite a good start.
Yeah,
Actually take some notice of what you're studying at school.
yeah,
Um, and but at the same time, also go out and get experience, try lots of things. Variety is the spice of life, and amongst all those things, you might find something you want to do.
yeah.
I mean, my son, for instance, knows exactly what he wants to do at the age of 22, so all his decision making is easy because he knows where he wants to go. I had absolutely no idea at all, and you end up making decisions taking you in all different directions, and sometimes you're reversing things, etc. So I think, try as much as you can, try and find out what it is you want to do or would like to do, and then life suddenly becomes a whole lot easier.
Well, it's interesting. You want to do it, it's almost like find something you love doing, isn't it? Because if you love doing,
Yes, okay, yeah. If it's that's what you want to do above all things, then yes, you can say,
so the getting out of bed in the morning is actually joyful, and you're bouncing out of bed going to work because it's something you really enjoy doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rather than just landing on something and going, "No, this will do." So it's almost like don't take the first
Don't
off.
take necessarily
Find
what
the best.
first comes along. I mean, it involves quite a lot of investment of time and effort to figure it out.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But I think once you figure it out, then it's a joy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, here's an interesting one. So look, out of all these questions I've been asking, what questions should I be asking you that I haven't asked you?
That's the question I was hoping you weren't going to ask me.
Well, there you go. I've asked you.
Um, I'm not really actually. I don't have a particular answer to that one.
Okay.
Really,
Okay.
you quite happy to talk about my experience, but not really from the point of view of okay, what else could you ask me? Lots of there's lots of different things, but you're the question asker, so off we go.
No, that's fine. Let's move on to another question. So, like, if you've been doing this for quite a while, business is good, it's growing. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Well, a lot of it's to do is where do you see the business in 5 years' time?
That's what I meant. So,
I mean,
business. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's now all about AI. It's been something that I've been reading about for about 15 years. And I'm in the information business. So, we're going to be profoundly impacted. I do think everybody's going to be profoundly impacted, but it's going to happen where we are first. So I think it's quite difficult to figure out the business environment. I mean, the change that we're talking about is as great as the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, or the internet revolution. And I don't think it's clear where it's all going to end up. I think the business environment is just going to start moving faster and faster and faster. So it's going to be pretty unstable.
I mean, how do you see AI impacting? I mean, what's your view? I mean, this is only your view, but how do you see it impacting the business environment, AI?
Massively, in any direction. And I mean, the thing is, it's a global revolution. So you can't suddenly say as a country, well, you know what? I think we'll just slow it down, because other people elsewhere won't be slowing it down.
No.
So, you can look around at anything to do with information, and you can see what the advantages are. So, I'd like to say AI takes over my job, does it for me, and I can be on the beach. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
Well, no, the interesting thing about AI is AI can do all sorts of lovely things for you, but Google, the good old Google are wise to that. And if you just put AI straight up onto your website or whatever, the SEOs don't get recognized because Google recognizes it's been artificially created. So you've got to do some work on top of AI. It can't just be purely AI and put up on your website or as a blog or whatever else.
No, I mean, you've got to do work on top of it, but at the same time, the AI gets clever, and Google and AI are going to spend their time outsmarting each other, and
Yeah,
ultimately,
yeah,
the one that's controlled by the machine is going to be able to adapt faster than the one that's run by human beings. I mean,
yes.
it's quite it's quite a simple scenario essentially.
Do you see any risks
Um,
with AI?
any
Risks around AI?
Oh yeah, I think it's enormously risky.
Yeah.
Um, I think the best thing we could do is to try and as I said, try and calm it down and be able to think about it, etc., etc. But I think it's already moving, at great speed, and I think there's an awful lot of development going on that we don't have a clue about.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
You should move your camera
so
down a bit, Clive.
sorry, oh,
That's
there we go.
okay.
Um, yeah, so in 5 years' time, yes, I'd like to be on the beach surfing, um, or snowboarding
Nice.
on the mountain.
Yeah.
But we'll see where it all goes. I mean, I think there could be an awful lot of change and transitions in between.
Okay. So have you got any, just a final bit here, I suppose, have you got any words of advice for other business owners who are looking to grow from from
As
you?
Yeah, I mean, as I said all the way through, I think basically they it's very, very useful to have outside involvement all the way through, because basically as I said, you get the experience, and you get the guidance, and you get a different point of view. And
And
ultimately, you may have this view of what's out there and how it's all going to work, etc., etc., but you are looking at it from inside rather than from an outside viewpoint.
and what sort of sources have you
So,
brought into your business to do that in the past?
sorry.
What sort of sources have you brought into your business to help you from that objective point of view?
I've had people who run other businesses who've come in, and not really, if you want, from businesses which are close to what I'm doing.
Okay.
Um, so that's generally been the way I've done it. And then, as I said, you try and go for somebody who's mature and older, just because they bring more experience.
Yeah.
A lot of these things, a lot of these problems are just a repeat of what's happened in the past.
Yeah. So they've already been
And
through the trap. So
they've already been through it, and they know what the pitfalls are, and they can explain them to you rather than you having to find out what the pitfalls are as you actually do it.
yeah, absolutely. They can help you avoid those learnings by helping you make by
Mm.
helping you get the learning in advance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. No, really, that's good advice. That's good advice. Clive, it's been fantastic chatting to you today, and there's some great advice in amongst that lot for people, for other business owners out there. Especially that last one there. But the main theme, one of the main themes you come across with is always bring objectivity into your business from outside to bring a balance to the emotional turmoil that goes inside when you're making when you're making business decisions, which I think is really, 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 really important. So
yeah. Because ultimately, it's got to work financially, otherwise it's going to collapse. So you know, you need that outside rational side
yeah, is the
well
right
represented.
yeah, is that
You know?
rational? It's bring the logic in versus the emotion.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, fantastic. Some great advice there. And I really, really do want to thank you for giving up your time today.
that's right. It's a real pleasure.
It's
Thank you
been
very much.
my pleasure entirely. And thank you very much. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
All right. Cheers.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Okay, bye.